Greetings and welcome to another edition of AUHSD Future Talks. I'm your host, Michael Matsuda, the Superintendent of the Anaheim Union High School District. And as our 7,000 listeners know, this show is dedicated to the future of education. The stakes are very high. Today, though, is our 100th episode, and I'm so proud that this show is focused on our very own teachers. And it's a preview of our upcoming K-12 AI Summit happening right here in Anaheim, March 1st and 2nd. And we are sold out. We have educators from 22 states, from nearly 70 districts, from 4 different countries. So we're reaching, I guess, the big times, right? We are on Broadway right now. And I couldn't think of better representatives of our teaching staff, our amazing teaching staff, than our guests today. So I'm going to start the introductions, and we'll start with Paola Rosenberg.
Hi, everybody. My name is Paola Rosenberg. I'm the Plurilingual Curriculum Specialist at AUHSD. I focus on EL, LTELs, and AI integration. And Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Gaudette. I'm at Dale Junior High School. I'm also at CVA, Cambridge Virtual Academy. I'm a social studies teacher and also an instructional coach.
Hey everyone, my name is Tyler Sherman. I'm a teacher at Magnolia High School and Cambridge Virtual Academy. And I'm also the eCadence, our learning management system coach for the district, and work very closely with them in our district and integrating AI features. Right?
Hi, everyone. My name is Ray Solorzano. I am a teacher here at Cambridge Virtual Academy. I'm a social studies teacher, but also an ed tech enthusiast who really believes in the power of technology's ability to transform education and create more opportunities for our students.
So I'm going to throw the ball up, and we'll see who hits it first. But the big question, I think, is why this summit? Why now? Why should people from 22 states want to come to and learn about AI?
I don't want to take up too much of the space here, but I have a little story or anecdote that I would like to share about why. Recently, I got invited to a med school because they are, talking about integrating AI. And when I was there, I brought, a colleague of mine, and there was a very prominent figure who was doing the talk, and the amount of misinformation that was said during that keynote was alarming. And this was about, making really broad things about using AI for diagnosis, and that if you say something into ChatGPT, it's secure, and all these different things. So AI is so booming right now, and it's so prominent in education and just in life. But I think there's a lot of people who are novices, and there's a lot of people who don't understand it. And I think it's so important that we're in the forefront and we're having a summit like this so people can not only understand what AI is, but also what AI isn't, and then all of the possibilities and the strengths that it can have to transform our system like a school district.
So I'll jump in and just share. I think it's really important to kind of recognize where we are right now in the, the adoption cycle of AI. As Tyler said, not just, in schools, but in medical communities, right, in different businesses. But really, our job here as teachers is to, understand where we are. So Matt Miller from Ditch a Textbook, he wrote a book on AI. And one of the things he shared is the Gartner hype cycle. And I would argue right now we are kind of at like the peak of inflated expectations with AI, where AI can do all these different magical things, and some are true and some won't be true, right? Some will be very expensive and available to very few, and some will be available to everyone. And so I think it's important to kind of vet some of these some of these resources, right? Have that open dialogue, open discussion. And I think here in the Anaheim Union High School District, we've been having this conversation for, approximately a year now. I'd say we've really been, digging deep into this. So while we have, a little bit of experience, with where we are, where our teachers are at, it's also good to know, where everybody else is at, on this cycle, and to really make sure we're all on the same page to keep kind of the guardrails in place for, what is safe, what is useful for our students, and ultimately what isn't also.
Rob, you're one of the senior teachers here in this group, and you've seen a lot of things come and go. Why is it so important that teachers should be on the front line of helping to Ray's point, vet these new tools that are coming out?
Yeah, just to dovetail upon what Ray was saying about the hype of AI, I think the next stage, Ray, is the trough of disillusionment, if I'm not mistaken. And we're starting to see the limits of what AI can do. But given the current state of what AI can do and its possibilities, it's already going to make a teacher's life a lot easier and a lot more proficient. And I've been working as an instructional coach now for half my career. That's 15 years trying to get teachers to try new things. And the greatest obstacle I continually run into is that teachers don't have time. But if you're giving them a tool that can help them write lessons, get feedback on their lessons, you're giving them a tool that can do multimedia presentations, you're giving them a tool that can write parent emails, you're giving them a tool that can provide feedback to students on all different levels, you're going to save some time. And again, there's also an issue of trust. Is the information accurate? We can't blindly accept it. We can't accept it the same way we accept the information that we put into a calculator. I know we rarely question the results of a calculation because they've been around for so long, and we've learned to trust our phones more than we do our mathematical numeric sense. But I think we got to get to a point, like Ray was saying, that we vet these systems and that we can incorporate them in our classroom and let our teachers know that this can help them be more effective with less work, right? Work smarter, not harder.
But Paula, isn't, I think the movie Oppenheimer captures this moment because it's like, this can be used for good or evil. And right now there's a lot of people really concerned about the evil side, right? And especially how that might impact schools and kids. Do you think that we should continue on this trajectory? Because it seems like we've been open armed, right? We've for now we've taken down the guardrails because we want teachers to explore, of course, and give feedback back to us. But I'd like to hear from you. You've been part of a task force that was established a year ago. You've helped work on a new framework for the district with AI. So what are your thoughts today?
When thinking about AI in educational spaces, we definitely want to think about like AI ethics, AI literacy, like bridging the connection between what do the students know, what do the educators know, but then also showing our students how to be positive and effective users of AI so that it is adding to their future. And so that when they are using these tools in their classroom spaces in their everyday life, that they're learning to be prompt engineers or they're learning how to ask questions. But not just that, but they're also thinking about how to be responsible users and respectful users so that as we continue to grow these systems, the systems also learn how to be responsible and effective and learn from us as well. It's a cycle of learning from each other.
So it's a very iterative process. And we're developing new vocabulary like prompt engineers. What is a prompt engineer, and why, Ray? Why is that concept important for teachers to grasp?
So to answer the first question, prompt engineering, right? It's how do you interact with the AI? So it's the types of questions you're asking. And so, when you talk about that idea of good versus evil, Sal Khan, he has his Khan Amigo, and one of his things is like, look, we're not just going to give you the answer, right? We want to have this Socrative dialogue with the students. Give some props to Tyler, the team at eCadence, right? This new Scrappy AI tool that's coming out. We're starting to use that with our students. In fact, I was messaging Tyler last night during my class when I was having my students, use it, and they're getting frustrated. Why? Because, well, it's not just spitting out, hey, here's the correct answer. Instead, it's getting to those deeper level of questioning to get the students, right, to be able to learn how to do the research on their own, but really also how to ask the AI, better. And so if we're going to get to that level where our students kind of have, in Sal Khan's, dream world, and I actually subscribe to this as well, that, AI can serve as a personal tutor to the students. Well, the first thing we need to do is teach the students and the teachers, of course, but teach the students really how to ask AI to get better results. The more practice both the students have asking those questions, also the AI, right, to try to train those AI bots to provide better feedback. And so that really begins with the prompt engineering, getting the kids. And one thing that I know in our social studies, departments around our district, we really want to get to that higher level of thinking, right? The inquiry based learning. And so we've been practicing with open-ended questions versus closed-ended questions. So now getting the students to understand how can we use that in our AI to really get to that deeper level of meaning.
Rob, I know that you're, again, drawing upon seniority, and you, again, you ask very, you're a good thought partner, because at these early stages, you're bringing up some concerns about these things. Could you share some of your concerns about these powerful tools that are coming out?
Well, probably my biggest concern is that AI they're trying to attempt human emotional relationships with students. And I don't think AI has that background. You talked earlier about guardrails and prompt engineering. Those two things kind of go together. A lot of the people that are capitalizing on ChatGPT are just monetizing the prompts. You look at Magic School, they're doing the prompts for teacher. If you look at Sherpa or any one of these other services, they're really doing the prompts for it. But what I'd like to see in terms of guardrails is if we can house our own ChatGPT on our servers on some sort of supercomputer that we can contain it and protect student privacy, and then we could start feeding that ChatGPT to be that individual tutor. And if you think of when you first get into education, you always hear about differentiation, and you go, oh great, how am I going to differentiate a lesson for 200 different students? But if I've got a bot or a thought partner that each kid is personally able to use, and that bot would have not only like Healthy Schools data, it would have Thrively data. You could have our community schools needs and assessment, and we do a lot with the 5 C's, and we've been working with UCI with the 5C reflection and using AI to gauge the 5 C's. But why does each kid have the same reflection? If that bot has a history with the student for a couple of years, then those reflections could be specific to their development, specific to the PTA that they're working on, specific to the skills. And imagine if that bot even knows a little bit about that kid's home life, about their story, and being able to personalize that experience for each kid. And my fear is that it's just going to be a generic tutor that doesn't take into account the humanness that we really need to take full advantage of the power of this machine that can just do incredible things.
You bring up a philosophical, question. How are we going to use this tool? Is it a tool that dehumanizes, or is it a tool that humanizes? Tyler, you work very closely with one of our nonprofit partners at Cadence that's trying to build a more humanized AI approach. Could you, what are your thoughts about this conversation so far, and where, and to Rob's point about the possibilities of these types of sophisticated AI bots?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Rob hit a lot of important points. I think again, it goes back to understanding what AI is and what it isn't right now. And I think areas of growth and the way that it's a large language model. So it's predicting the next word. It's not able to really know the nuances and the context of relationships and those types of things. So when we're thinking about our chatbot, Scrappy, who was designed with the help of our summer AIM interns, and even the way that it looks, is we wanted to create a chatbot that was going to facilitate and aid to learning, not just give answers, right? Because I think we need to understand that this could be an asset, not something that's just going to be, that's like just something that, like a chat GPT, for example, when you ask it to a 3-paragraph essay, it gives you a 3-paragraph essay. Scrappy would say things about, what do you know about this topic, or this is what you should consider, or you can provide feedback to the student. So again, it's creating an opportunity where students are still engaging in the content and still engaging in their thinking without providing, that answer for them. And I think a big point I wanted to elaborate too with like my concerns with AI, everything that we talk about with nonprofit Cadence and AUHSD is all centered around privacy and security. Is how do we make sure that our students are safe, our students' information is safe, our teachers' information is safe, and all those different things. So there's so many different ways that we're doing that, because once it goes into an open AI system, it's there, right? So how do we make sure that none of that happens? So we have so much back channeling on our end of like, okay, we're striking names, we're striking personal stuff before we send it, if we send it at all. So yeah, I mean, I think when we're really focusing on our students' safety, privacy, and then we can go from there about, saving teachers time. And Rob mentioning, personalized learning and differentiation, to me, that's it. I have 185 kids. It's so hard to do that, and it takes way too much time. It's not realistic for me to do that. But with AI, using the features built in within eCadence and all these other models, it's possible, and which means I get to focus on teaching and doing what I love, and students are more engaged in the content.
Ray, you're very cutting edge. All you teachers are very cutting edge, but you're housed at the Cambridge Virtual Academy. Where are the teachers, and to what Tyler and Rob and Paola are talking about, the promise of this and having these individualized tutors and individualized lessons for your entire class. Where do you think all of this stuff is going, and do you think it should go there?
Whew. All right, that is a loaded question. I wear a lot of hats. Let me start by saying that. But one of the the things I've been doing for a long time here is I've been a senior teacher, which our students graduating high school, going off to college, and so one of the things that's kind of been in my mind is college going rates, or community college or trade schools, whatever it might be, right? That our students, what are their next steps? But we've talked a lot about that idea of the personal tutor, and for me, okay, the pie in the sky is a true democratization of education. And what I mean by that is, some numbers, what is the average spend for, a poor school district, a middle class school district, poor school district somewhere $8,000 to $10,000 a year per pupil per year. Middle class, is $12,000 to $15,000 per year per pupil. But we get to these elite private schools, and it's upwards of $75,000 per pupil per year that the private schools are able to spend, right, to get these kids ready for these elite colleges, these elite universities. And so the idea that we can democratize our education and truly personalize one-on-one learning for every student, I think ultimately that's where I hope to see AI goes. That said, everything you guys have talked about, right? Again, econ teacher in me, right? It's a cost-benefit analysis, right? Are the costs of all these things, both financial costs, right, that Tyler has spoken about what does the AI take, every time we send out a ping, what is that costing us? But also, right, like you said, to the student privacy, to, the teachers in the classroom, the amount of professional development, I think that's a big part, right? If we're going to get our teachers on board, we need to really prioritize that professional development to teach our teachers, right, what is out there, what is possible, what's not just it's not just what do I want to call it, like a one-trick pony, right? Like, hey, we could do something, create something that looks really good, but really is it meaningful and impactful to both your classroom and the students, right? Honestly, I played around with a new tool today. We had a professional development at CVA. It's really nice to be around some forward-thinking teachers who are introducing me to new things. And I'm sitting down having a 10-minute conversation on a speech that I want to do with my 10th grade world history, a Winston Churchill speech next week. I wouldn't have time personally to have my students each give 10 minutes, speech to me, and for me to really go and give feedback. but now I'm able to analyze that result, analyze the feedback that the AI is giving to my students. And for me as a teacher, now I get to see, okay, as a whole, where were the gaps in knowledge? I get to cover that, and for me, that's that benefit, right? And as our AI develops further and further, perhaps we'll get to that place where we do have personalized tutoring. But right now, I think it's more of a conversation. Can we get there together?
Paula, we're hearing your colleagues, and I think the counter to that is, are they talking about replacing teachers? In fact, we know that there's a charter school in Austin, Texas that opened up where you can take a science class taught by Albert Einstein, or, a history class taught by Abraham Lincoln. Should we be concerned about this technology being used to replace teachers?
I feel like that's something that's historically been feeling as education and technology, and things change over time. There's always a fear that we're going to be replaced. I think that as the AI develops and we start seeing the tools that are being developed to integrate into educational spaces, we'll start to see it more as like a thinking partner or like a co-pilot, more of a hopeful. Right now, teachers have the ability to speak with their students and learn their students. We here in our district, we learn them by their name, face, and story. And right now, AI can't do that. And I don't know if it ever will. And so we know our students, we know when they need us to step back, when they want us next to them, supporting them the entire time. And unfortunately for those students who are at an AI only school, they're not going to have that same level of concern and that real human connection, which we know and there's evidence of that is essential. And it creates a stronger connection between communities and parents, and hopefully and student outcomes.
So, Rob, we started this conversation with you framing AI to fellow teachers as a way to make you more efficient, save time. What other, in anticipation of people are just afraid of change sometimes. They're defenders of the status quo. What other arguments do you think our district can use, or other teacher leaders can use, to get more buy-in from the teachers and the admins, etc., with these powerful tools?
I couldn't really speak to that, but we were talking about, there's never been a time when, at least in my experience, there's never been a time in education when money has not been a concern. And Paolo and yourself were just talking about declining enrollment, or you were talking about AI replacing teachers. And I think this year we're facing some pretty historic declining enrollment. And maybe to turn the table, if I can't, just mute me or whatever. But do you see AI in other districts, not Anaheim? Anaheim values our employees 100%, and we really appreciate the work that they do and the humanness they bring to the classroom. But other schools that are chasing test scores, other schools that have different drivers, could you see some of your fellow superintendents turning to AI to reduce the monetary burden of personnel? Because that's really our biggest cost, isn't it?
The average school bus budget is about 80 to 85% on personnel. And you're right, it's very tempting for us to start looking at ways that we can save money. And I think that's going to be a very big existential question coming down with these powerful tools. And that's why supporters of public schools, supporters of teachers and teaching, excellent and quality and amazing teaching that's going on in our district and across the United States, they really need to stand up and make it clear where they stand on utilizing these tools. There are some out there who want to utilize these tools to increase test scores and hold teachers even more accountable around test scores because of the wrong drivers. So we're at a critical junction in this country and across the world, Rob, with how these tools might impact in education, not just K-12, but K-16 and beyond. And in fact, replacing the way we think of a bachelor's degrees, right? Where there's all kinds of, and redefining what education really means. So yes, in our district, we're embracing it. We support the utility of these tools for increasing our own humanity. And we definitely support our teaching, our real teachers, rather than these fake AI bots that are coming out there. Anybody else want to comment on this as we, because I want you to also think about what, the final thoughts, what do you expect to gain from this summit? Anybody else want to comment on this sort of existential question that we're talking about?
I would like to say something. So I kind of do go back to the original question is like, or am I concerned, or do I think that AI bots can replace teachers? I mean, I think the answer is yes, but also I think anyone can replace, like that you can make an argument that anyone can replace teachers. That does not mean that they're going to replace them well. And that doesn't mean that they're going to replace them better. And I think right now there is no AI bot that's going to be a better teacher than Ray Solorzano. And that's just where we're at. But there's a world where they coexist, and using each other, our knowledge base, our humanistic characters, our schooling, our understanding of nuances, and just the innovation and communication and saving up time of AI, when you use them together, it is very powerful. And I think there's opportunities where you allow teachers to ensure that within a system, within a classroom, that no students are slipping through the cracks. And that allows us to make sure that we're bringing every student up. So again, like, we are humans and we make mistakes, and people do slip through the cracks. Our students do slip through the cracks, unfortunately. AI will help make sure that doesn't happen. Where it's like, if it was just AI, they might not know the name, face, and story, like Paula mentioned earlier. So there is a world where I think AI is going to transform education. I think AI is going to be great for education and our future students. But I think that we need to do it together.
So here's the closing question. I'm going to start with you, Ray. And, we've created this special 100th episode for all the people that are coming, and there's going to be thousands of people live streaming. What is your advice for a participant coming in? What do you think that they should be looking for and listening to? Ray.
Thank you. I'm going to go back. The easy one for me is Simon Sinek's, start with your why. We talk about personalizing education for the students, but also, right, like this AI summit, let's personalize your professional development as well. What is it that you are looking for? What are your needs, right? What are your gaps? I think that's really important. And so come with, that open mindset, that growth mindset, that, hey, look, things that I've been doing, for X amount of years, is there a way to do it more efficiently? I'm not even going to say better, right? I don't think that's the idea of AI, to make it better, but how can I take AI and make myself more efficient, right? Do those things that I always wanted, that thing that you've always wanted to do, but you just don't have time for. Can AI open that time up for you to do that passion project, that passion idea in education that you've always wanted to get done?
Rob, what's your advice to the participants?
I like what Tyler said about coexisting, and in terms of replacing a teacher, I think AI can replace a mediocre, antiquated teaching style. And kids are going to be using AI when they're out of the classroom. They're using AI when they're in our classrooms now, whether we like it or not. And if as a teacher I'm asking my students to do something that a bot can do, then I got to rethink the ask. I got to rethink what I'm asking them to do. That's the bottom line. We're preparing kids for their future. We're not going to do any service by preparing kids for our past.
Wow.
And AI is going to be part of their future.
That's awesome. Paula, what's your advice to participants?
To stay curious and there's a lot of great leaders coming out, and in like Google for Education, NVIDIA's Keith Stryer. There's a lot of hopeful conversations that are going to be had, and just, we're going to be able to be closer to these leaders in industry so we can ask those questions. And I think it's important for us to just, take it in and step back and see, what can I do now with this information? Because the goal is always to bring it back to the classroom so we can just make it the better learning experience for our students.
And Tyler, teacher to teachers, what is your advice?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's advice is so great, but I think it's ask questions. Don't accept things for just what they are, and just accept things because there is someone at some company who is saying this. We've done an incredible job of, everyone who is at our AI Summit has been vetted and there's credibility and there's all that. But I think asking questions and understanding the different components, and even, the cost to all this, right? A lot of these companies are spinning up right now because AI is booming, and, they're free because they're trying to build their clientele, but AI is expensive. And it's like, okay, before I fall in love with X program, knowing that, maybe next year it's going to cost $20,000 a month. Okay, well, I'm not, no district's going to pay for that, right? So it's just like, asking those types of questions. And then really the next thing is like, what is your pain points? What is it about teaching that is hard? What is it about, giving, you like dealing with students that is hard, or your district that is hard? And then find features or find breakout rooms that are kind of geared towards that, because AI can help. I use it every single day, and it's made my life better and easier. And it's also helped my kids significantly. And I'm extremely confident I would say that to anyone.
Great advice, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you on March 1st and 2nd. And congratulations to all of you for celebrating our 100th episode of AUHSD Future Talks. So on behalf of all of our 27,000 students and their families, thank you so much.